I sent you guys three news topics. We could jump into the first one. From the New York Post, Fauci's not sure why Texas doesn't have a COVID uptick after nixing masks. It's been 5 weeks since Texas lifted its mask mandate. Damn, I can't believe 5 weeks went by that quick since they did it. And there has
Yeah.
yet to been a COVID-19 explosion. It's something Dr. Anthony Fauci can't quite explain. I'm not really sure, quite sure. He said to MSNBC this week, it could be they're doing things outdoors. Daily cases in Texas hovered around 7,000 in early March when Governor Greg Abbott lifted the state's mask rules. Now, according to the CDC, new cases are under 4,000. Fauci noted that there can be a delay in how and when cases manifest. Often you have to wait weeks before you see the effect of what you're doing right now, he said. So, what do we think of Texas not seeing an explosion? And actually, there was another story where Florida is similar to. They're not seeing an explosion in COVID-19 cases since lifting restrictions and stuff.
Yeah, but look at the time when they lifted restrictions after COVID has been a little bit more controlled. Vaccines have been, going out at 2 million people a day.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to also look at areas such as Texas. If you're looking at where the highest numbers are going to go up versus the majority of Texas, which is pretty, open spaces, we're not talking like a condensed population like New York, where people are living on top of people, on top of people, on top of people in 20-story high rises. We're talking about Texas where you got open space, open land, people,
well, I would say this though, like even in the major cities, they're not seeing an uptick like Austin and stuff. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying is the fact that you don't have as much of major cities like New York does, or, so I'm just taking all the things into consideration here.
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, then why did the numbers go up before we had all these things in control?
Well, yeah, I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot more understanding about what it is now. So even though people have their mask off, like you said, Texas is a little more open. People are still, even when it appears that there's not a lot of social distancing, like in Miami with them big shits, and other areas. That's like. Those are some anomalies. Those aren't happening everywhere. And it's not happening everywhere in Texas or everywhere in Florida. So you do have areas that are like that. But the overall areas, I think people are just more aware of what the disease is. I think when it first got here, people weren't aware of what this shit was. You know what I mean? I think people are more conscious. That's all. So even though you see people are partying consciously, I still think. Even though it looks foolish, I still think people are still like, shit is out here. You know what I mean? But remember, we're going to be living with it like the flu, so it doesn't matter. The flu's here, shit. It doesn't matter.
I mean, and here's the other reality you have to consider. Just because Texas has lifted their rules on wearing masks doesn't mean that people aren't still being cautious and wearing them anyway.
Nah, bruh. Texas been nah. Texas is not. A lot of Texas did away with the trying to wear masks and social distances back in September.
My cousin lives in Houston and she's still wearing a mask. So
yeah,
again,
no, but like I'm just saying, overall overall their culture, they've been on some like I ain't trying like they've been over this shit.
Well, maybe Trump was right. He said it'll be gone by Easter, so maybe it's just gone.
My man Henry, you silent, bro. What you who you texting, bro?
Remember,
somebody, I'm over here listening to Smith. Yeah, as soon as he starts talking that bullshit, the government freezes ass out.
Big brother again.
Like, yo, this nigga's like,
man, my man Smith brought up aliens.
He said COVID ain't going nowhere.
Nah, the moment he brought up aliens, his shit was starting to act up, though.
I don't know. I think with this, it's one of two things. It's either people aren't, like, reporting the COVID cases like how it was at the beginning, or dudes are really just being more, I'm not even cautious, but the whole fact that the weather's turning and they are able to go outside, I really think it's more so just the fact that they're not reporting the cases, honestly. because it seemed like we kind of went through something similar where, the summer hit, it was a spring, the summer numbers went down, and then out of nowhere, we just got that spike. But you got a lot more people who was reporting getting tested. So, hey, I'm holding on. I'm 2 more days away from my second shot, in 2 weeks, and 2 days away from being fully vaccinated. And then I ain't got no problems.
Well, here are my thoughts about this shit. I knew they wasn't gonna see a spike, just because I've been following the numbers. I've been following what the CDC have been reporting, and I've been paying attention to some of the reportings with Governor Greg Abbott, and even Governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, and I don't know. I think this is going to be a situation where it's going to be similar to like the flu, where it's just you're just going to see spikes on certain seasons, and you're going to just see people essentially treating it as such the flu, while they tend to have more dire fatalities, supposedly. But hey, Dr. Fauci doesn't know why, and neither does the CDC. So I think what it reveals is what it reveals is the measures, which I've always been saying has been too restrictive for quite a bit of time. And I just think that now we need to stop playing with people's businesses, stop playing with people's mentality, and let people resume back to normal.
Well, I mean, if it's just gone because of this season, then why was it here last year?
It's not gone. It's just that the spikes, they're not seeing a spike. I think because you got to keep in mind, like, what the narrative was when you had Florida, Mississippi, Texas, and Connecticut to some degree, when they said like, yo, F all this, we're not adhering to a lot of these restrictive measures. The concern was you was going to see a spike. It didn't happen. It's not reporting it to be the case. Well, so now,
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking, just like maybe, here's the thing. Maybe we've been through the worst part of the storm. I mean, at the end of the day, we had bodies piling up left and right this time last year, right? And we had no treatment, we had no vaccine, we had no plan of action. And over a year's time, we've come with different plans of action. We've taken steps. We've had vaccines. We've had medical treatments. And we know that a certain percentage of people are asymptomatic, this, that, and the other. So the whole thing is taking all those things into effect. Do you really expect to have the same exact response that you would have had last year when we were completely and totally unprepared?
So you know what, though? I can credit everything really except for that vaccine, because I still feel like at this point, because there's still a lot of people who haven't taken it and still want to. Who haven't taken it and won't take it. Yeah. I really feel like the minority of the people who have taken the vaccine, I think it's more social what you're saying as far as like knowing the measures to take. Because first they were saying, don't wear a mask. Then they're saying, you got to wear a mask. Then they're saying, it lives on the surfaces for how long? Then they're saying, it's not. So I think, we do have a grasp on it. I just don't think it's being reported, man.
I think personally, honestly, the numbers across the board since the very beginning has been skewed. I think it's been skewed in two directions. Because initially, the way they went about testing people with COVID, like, you had a lot of faulty tests that was out there that wasn't necessarily was generating a lot of false positives. So that was that issue. And then, like you said, it's just like, I think over the course of time, people have a better sense of what it is and they know what measures to take. But hey, I think now, because I was just watching Dr. Fauci this morning, and this dude said he just got his second vaccine, and he still ain't trying to mingle with people. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I'm like, bro, you got both vaccines.
Vaccines are not 100%. There's no such thing as 100%.
But my thing is, it's just like, like, so then when is normalcy on the horizon? If you're still taking these measures where you're not you're still requesting people to socially distance and wear masks after taking both vaccines. I don't know. I just don't see the point.
Yeah, but here's the thing:
any of it.
the CDC did say that people who were already vaccinated can hang out with other people who are, who are already vaccinated. So like me and Kel will be vaccinated in 2 more weeks, right? And the whole thing is you and Hakeem never got vaccinated. So it's like me and Kel can hang out with no mask whatsoever, but we got to be leery about being around you and Hakeem. So the whole thing is like, until you and Hakeem join the ranks, then there will never be any normalcy. There's still going to be that small liability of a threat. There's always going to be that liability of a threat.
My understanding of that
this is your normal.
Well, my understanding, the way that the nurse explained it to me was that we can still carry it. We'll just sort of be like asymptomatic.
Yeah.
So we can give it to somebody who hasn't had the shot.
The shot. Yeah.
That's why we still have to keep our masks on.
Remember, Fauci wants to not go out because remember, even after you get both doses, you can still get coronavirus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we reported on it. Yeah,
already. So that's why
it doesn't make you bulletproof.
It doesn't make you bulletproof. It's not a cure. The vaccine is not a cure. It's a vaccine.
Look, man, and that's where I'm leery of all of it. I don't know, and I kind of left this story out, but I'm going to share it anyway. So, there's been 4 states now that have reported that they're halting their Johnson & Johnson vaccine rollout due to adverse effects. There's been a number of cases where people are reporting some severe adverse effects, and I don't have the news article on my screen, so like I'm just going off the top of my head in regards of the details of the story I remember. And they're looking into, like, even when you look at the Moderna and Pfizer, what I find interesting about these vaccines is they're none of them are FDA approved. And they're classifying these as experimental trial runs until 2023. And that's where I get a little bit leery about the vaccines. It's just like they're admitting that these are experimental drugs that they're administering to the public.
I mean, it says that it hasn't been CDC approved. It's just...
But it's a need to experiment FDA. On the public at one time.
I mean, they're saying that they're administering it under some emergency, whatever. They said that shit on. They said that shit on the form when you get
which form?
I said they have
the form when you
get the vaccine.
When you get the vaccine, so there's like an advisory admission sort of thing.
There's a disclaimer.
A disclaimer.
Yeah, they say that, and they still understand that it is experimental because they have not had enough time to study it. You're still going to be in this situation because until you can get the whole population, which if we look at the numbers, I don't know what the numbers are, but how many of our population are sick under who have not been vaccinated yet?
Yeah,
you understand? Who have yet to be vaccinated?
Yo, 40% of U.S. Marines said 40% of U.S. Marines said that they ain't taking it. Flat out said it, they ain't taking it, and it was like 20% was like unsure. So, like, when you got
they could say it.
Yeah, they could
say it. That's not how it works, all right? Like,
what I'm saying is,
your staff sergeant, your captain will let you know that you are a piece of United States military equipment. They can do with you what they will. There is no options in this.
So hold on. So are you on board with employers forcing the vaccine then?
When you sign up to the military, you're not an employee.
Not just the employee, not just the U.S. military, just employees in general. Are you on board with a mandate?
I would say the private companies. I'm cool with that.
A private company saying, "Hey, we only employ people that have been vaccinated."
Yeah,
they can do that.
And I'm not cool with that.
I know you're not cool with it, but here's the thing: is it your job?
Oh no! Listen, understand. Is it a legal issue? Because if I never signed a contract, when I signed my contract, did it state that I have to give up these powers of getting a vaccine?
No, moving forward.
Then I'm gonna read my contract the same way I would do if I was the landlord of these buildings. And I gave out. I'm going to read my contract, and if it doesn't state that, I have a case, and I will sue the hell out of this company. You can't force the vaccine on anybody.
No, Smith, I'm just saying, moving forward.
You can't force it on anybody.
I know. So maybe people who are already employed at the place.
Okay, moving forward, but already got the job right now. Moving forward, they could force it.
What scenario are we talking about?
When you sign it now,
let's be clear.
Well, I think Kel kind of answered it. I think he said moving forward, any new hirees or any new employees will be forced to have to
not forced, but mandated.
Like when
it's forced. Let's call it what it is.
No, it's not forced. No.
Bruh,
See, this is the difference. There is a big difference. Time out. There is a difference between forced and mandated. If you want to come in here, you must do this. If you do not want to do it, you don't have to come in here. Now, when I say you don't have a choice to come in here, you have no. Force is when I tell you you have to come in here and you have to do this. That is force. Trust me. As a military understanding of what force is.
My part of it. Force is just that. If every company that I'm trying to work for is making me take this vaccine or I can't work there, I'm being forced.
You don't have to.
I hear what you're saying, but if I can't work in America because every company is telling me I'm being forced. I hear
start your own company.
No, bro.
Start your own company.
But we just read the myth of capitalism. I mean, the myth of capitalism. The myth of capitalism.
Right.
And the idea of just starting on your own company and then you have a specified skill set. It might not be easy. It might not be easy for you to do such a thing. To just start your company.
Not easy.
No,
so here's the thing.
But hold on.
Right,
but what I'm saying is, to what Smith's point is, if every company is now making this a mandate, basically you're eliminating my choices. Therefore, I am being forced to. Once you eliminate my choices, I am being forced to.
See, my thing is,
bruh, how is it wrong? Like if supermarkets do the same thing, you're gonna tell somebody, "Well, grow your own food."
Yes.
Are you, dude? Is it feasible for everybody to grow their own food in 2021?
Is it feasible? No.
Exactly. Hold on.
Time out.
Come on, man.
Is it feasible? No. But does anybody owe you anything in this life? No. That's just the code.
But we're not saying that. But we're not.
That's what you're saying.
No,
you're saying somebody. Hold on. Time out. I'll let you finish. You were saying somebody owes you a job.
I'm with Schubert on this one.
You were saying somebody owes you a job. You were saying somebody owes you a place to have food. Somebody owes you a place to live. Nobody owes you shit in life.
And not only,
but no one is
reality.
But no one is. No one is disputing that. No one is. What we're saying is. You're going to be forced to, like, for instance, with my job, I am forced to not trade all willy-nilly. I have compliances that I have to adhere to in order to do any sort of trading. Despite my own will, I am being forced to those rules, period. So if I'm going to stay within this industry, unfortunately, any firm that I join, those are going to be the rules and policies set for me. So therefore, I am forced to those rules.
You are not forced to those rules.
Hold on. But even if you are, these are the new rules that's being implemented.
Think of it like this.
So
go ahead.
Whether you think it's fair or not, this is just like the whole.
We didn't say fair.
We're not disputing the fairness of it. We're just saying fair. Yeah, we're just saying that you're being forced.
It's still being forced.
Because it's eliminating your choice. When your choices are eliminated, you are being forced to one avenue.
If you want to work there, you don't have another. You don't have
options. You're being forced.
And
it's the whole thing with the monopoly. If you don't have one avenue, you're being forced to go this way. This is the only way you can go.
So the whole thing is,
it's like being in a marriage. You know your wife does not like condone infidelity. So therefore, you are being forced to be monogamous.
And you're saying
you signed up for it.
No, but you're being forced. You got a chick that you want to be down with. You want to fucking spread your meat to every chick you meet, but you know that your wife is not down.
You just want to be a butcher.
But what I'm saying is you're being forced to be monogamous.
So if I come to your house, I come to visit you in your house, and I'm like, yo, I need to take a piss, and I just stand in your living room and piss on the floor, and you're like, dude, you fools pee in the bathroom. Am I being forced to pee in the bathroom? Or is that the rules of your house?
You being forced to listen to the rules of my house.
Oh my God, I can't.
What are you talking about, bro?
Like,
No,
am I being forced?
I'm gonna go here.
Yeah.
No, see, for me, forced is
Check
like.
it out. Listen, you come to my house, you have to take your shoes to the house. Those are the rules. Otherwise, you can't come into the house.
Exactly. You're not being forced. If you don't want to abide by the rules of that house, don't come to that house.
Yeah,
but that's different.
Just what it is.
But
that is not any different.
Yes, it is. It's a different.
If you come to my company, that's my house. If you come to my business, that's my house.
But if every company
has their own house, every company has their own house. The same way every house on the block in your street, you can't just walk up in there. You got to abide by their rules. Every house on the block.
Force, man. That's like
it's
saying
either that or stay your ass on the street.
No, you're in the company and they tell you got to go to church. You're being forced that. That's a force. Like
no, force means force means you don't want to go to church.
Forced upon you.
No, force means you don't want to go to church and someone's putting a gun to your head and making you walk up in the church. That's a force.
Yeah. No, listen.
But if the church says, if the church says women, if the church says men are not allowed to wear hats.
Wait, let me say this.
Okay.
If the church says that you have to abide by this, your business, if you're not, all right, Fortune 500 company, you're the Marines, I'm taking what you got on. Marines, that's our company, Fortune 500. In order to work here, you have to attend church. And if every company said that, then you're forcing that upon us. Now you're forcing church upon you. Understand? That's enforcement. It doesn't matter how it comes across. If I don't comply, listen. Okay. If I don't comply with this, I can't be in this institute. If I don't kowtow and bow to what you're saying, I can't be in the establishment.
So
nor this one, nor that one, nor anyone. So I'm being forced out.
Okay, so what you're saying is that when you have to wear a uniform to work, you're being forced. When you have to show up from 9 on time, go to lunch at 12, come back on time, leave at 5, you're being forced. When they're telling you to follow the company rules and treat customers with respect and this, that, you're being forced because they gave you rules to follow within their company that they're paying you to follow. You're being forced. That's what you're saying.
Well, no. But there's no
difference. There's the exact same.
I'm going to say,
no, it's not.
No, you're switching up the goalposts. You're switching up the goalposts.
No, I'm not extending the goalposts because Go ahead, Smith.
Listen. North Public Schools forced me to work at a certain school. Forced. I had to sign a paper, and I was forced to work here. You understand? That's a force. They put a gun in your head and made you sign that paper?
Regardless, see, now you're trying to use, you could use force. Force does not have to be a physical threat.
You're saying that they have a gun to my head right here?
Have to be a physical threat.
Let Kel say something.
No. But you use the gun example, and force does not have to be a physical threat.
So, hold on. So
everybody... No, we gotta make that clear.
Hold on, wait.
Kel's about to get definition.
Yeah, so everybody's right. When used as a noun, force means like you're physically making somebody do something. When used as a verb, you can make somebody do so to make somebody do something against their will.
Exactly.
Like he was forced into early retirement.
Come on, man. I know these definitions of these words.
I get what you're saying. But here's the thing. Are you working at that company against your will?
If I understand,
answer the question. Stop trying to switch it up.
No,
answer the question. Are you working against your will?
Let me answer the goddamn question. If I am working in a sector,
let him answer.
And every company in the sector is putting this rule in that's against my will, then I am being forced to. If I need to provide shelter and food for myself, I am being forced to at least to go against my own will and my own beliefs in order to survive.
All right, so be it. You're being forced. What you gonna do about it?
Okay, so let me ask this. That's what I wasn't gonna say.
You're gonna uprise against the companies. You're gonna tell them they can't do what they want to do within their own company, within legal bounds.
I will say, and I've said this before, even if they do force us, I don't think that it's happening until it's FDA approved. Like they're not forcing experimental drugs on us at our jobs that's making us do it. So
you got some employees doing it now, bro.
I mean, not
And
in
you
the
got
masses,
not in mass,
but
you got some employees doing it now. You got some
on like a smaller scale.
On a small scale, you have some
listen.
institute doing it now.
If y'all know the playbook is this. The playbook is first to incentivize it. All right. First you get the option. Second is to incentivize. Third is to force it upon you. We're still in the incentive stage. We're still in the stage where, hey, we will give you a donut. Hey, we'll give you a
Sam
paper
Adams
that says
now
it's
talking
a
about we're gonna give you a beer.
You know what else? Though?
We're still in the incentivized stage.
See,
hey, you might if you have a vaccine, you might get $1,000 off your car. They're going to start doing that soon. You understand? We're in that stage right now.
But by the
next stage we'll be the forceful stage.
So if this is going to be
get there, we're not yet.
I don't think we're going to get there. If this is going to be an endemic that we're going to be able to live with, by the time that this is FDA approved, we'll have it under control to where it's just similar to the flu. It's not getting to that point. Now, it may not be. Maybe you might have some. You may have some businesses who might.
I don't think it's going to be under control. I think this is a crash course.
But if that's but the whole idea with Texas proves
the big pandemic that's looming behind us.
The whole idea with Texas proves
there's a big
that it won't be forced. The whole thing with Texas is proving that it's not going to be forced.
All right,
they're wide open, and their numbers are not skyrocketing.
Not yet.
Yeah, Fauci's talking about giving some weeks. You know, they're going to find a number.
Not yet.
How many months? Hold on. Did we say it's been months already or weeks since they've been? 5 months?
5 weeks. Yeah, 5 weeks.
5 weeks.
But my thing, look, bro, look. So far, some of the shit that
and
was
right
that
now,
seems far fetched. Yeah, Canada just now is under their third shutdown. Exactly. They're shutting down, bro. You are Abba and Priest fan shoe. You probably saw that video. Abba and Priest talking about how it doesn't make any sense how they're being shut down again. Like, yo, it is what it is. But
you in the rugby?
Huh? Rugby.
You in the rugby?
Yeah, I watch some rugby from time to time. Yeah, man. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting though.
It's gonna be very interesting.
All right, we're gonna try to breeze through these next two.
At the end of the day, we're in year 2 that we know of. Not a full second year yet, but we're probably more in year 2 fully that we don't know of, before they really told us what was going on. So we're not quite there yet, and the virus is too new, and they still talking about this shit came from a bat.
Yeah, the
and I got another take on that. I'm doing some reading, and I'm gonna pass that shit.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to just do one more story.
Hey, you know that right out of that movie Contagion, though, where they started from the pig.
Yeah, man,
now they're saying it started from the bat. I'm just telling you, it came right
this is how the saying: life imitates art sometimes.
Well, absolutely. I mean, or it just repeats itself, because if you look at the history of the Black Plague started in China. And the whole thing is when they used to ship things from one place to another. So the Black Plague actually came through rats that were on those ships. And then, places like Italy, bodies were just like, how Italy has parts of Venice that are flooded. The bodies, they didn't have any place to bury the bodies. They were just like, the bodies would be like floating around in the water and stuff.
Which made matters worse.
Would make the matters worse and everything.
Yeah.
And they actually got to a point where, guess what they did? They quarantined. What they did was that they started saying anybody coming in with ships had to stay offshore for 40 days before they can come in. All right. That's where we get quarantine from, is that 40 days, that 4 representing the core or the quarantine in it, and we're still practicing that today. Does that story sound familiar?
Hey, nobody has a problem with quarantining, but it's been a year now.
What I'm saying is disease, quarantines, this history this is not new shit.
No.
This is not new shit.
To the level this has been, this is new shit.
No, this new shit to this generation.
No.
But this has happened in history.
No. It's new shit to this generation. Listen, no, check it out. Listen, Cash, it's new to this generation and our level of technology and everything. So it seems like it's never happened before.
Exactly.
But it's happening on.
It's happened. This is why we have
it's happening on a much larger scale.
No, I understand. Yeah, I understand.
They don't have the information.
Yeah, and this is what I'm saying. Like, I understand the history of plagues and pathogens of the world, and yes, it's not new shit in the sense of being introduced to new viruses and shit like that, and some of the measures we've taken. But in a sense of, like you said, Smith, you have this information, you have the data, and at this point, to the measures in which we have shut down world economies, that's some new shit. We've never shut down world economies, bruh.
What do you think it is when you tell people that are shipping your supplies that they got to stay offshore for 40 days before they can bring the supplies?
There's no historian, even economic historian, has said we've never shut down world economies, even though who have said this. We've never done it. Trade has always been conducted.
Remember, trade has always been conducted, but the whole thing is we haven't had the type of system that we have now.
We have technology.
We have the technology to reach out to people and tell everybody shut down. You forget that it's only been a couple hundred years since you were able to get mail from somebody or something Amazon shipped overnight. Before that, it would take months before something would get from one side of the country to the other.
And you're right, but look, listen what I'm about to say. The Suez Canal was just backed up. We had a lot of ships backed up that's going to have a delay. At the end of the day, we're still in a different place because if we get an emergency, we can fly helicopters and shit to places to pick up things that we need to pick up. Back then, they didn't have.
But we only have a limited amount of helicopters that can actually fly those things.
I do understand that, but if we needed to make it, if we needed to make it happen, we could make it happen, is what I'm saying. If we needed to pull all the guards and ranks from across the nations and get all the 12 nations and all our forefathers together, we could make it happen as one human race. We could make things happen. Back then, they couldn't make it happen because they didn't have certain technology. That's all I'm saying. We could make things happen today.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be in this position with this pandemic. We could have made shit happen, but we dropped the ball. So we're here. It is what it is.
Yeah. All right. Next news story. This is from The Real Deal. Foreclosures and evictions could be halted for the rest of 2021. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is looking at restrictions on mortgage servicers that will prevent struggling homeowners from going straight into foreclosures. The agency has proposed a measure to stop mortgage servicers from proceeding with foreclosures until December 31st, according to the New York Times. This idea is to give borrowers more time to get mortgage modifications that reduces their monthly payment. Another rule will allow servicers to offer loan modifications to homeowners who have suffered from the pandemic without going through the full review required to adjust a mortgage, the New York Times reported. So, recently the Biden administration and the CDC extended. What's up, brother? What's up, Smith? What up?
You have tenants, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine or fathom your tenants not paying until December? And if they have already not been paying for the last year?
14 last year? Nah, bruh. I would have pulled up what was the black brother we were talking about in Long Island when he kidnapped his tenants? Yeah.
That was
yeah. Now, you know what? He's looking more and more reasonable these days.
That's horrible.
Boy, it was horrible. He's looking more. They just extended the eviction, bruh. He's looking more.
Are they stopping taxes?
Nah, bruh.
On homeowners? Are they stopping the taxes on these landlords?
Nope.
Like,
they're trying to offer programs. Yeah, they're trying to offer programs for landlords, but even the landlords.
I think there's a certain bailout, but who has been bailed out? When people got a lot of money, people got $1,400 on top of $1,400 on top of $1,400, depending on how many kids you have. Like, at the end of the day, that's some bullshit. I don't agree with that at all, because now you're putting another you're putting another group of people in a position that they're not eating. Their credit is starting to get fucked up. Nobody's saying, hey, you own 7 houses and we're going to, stop the mortgage payments. This shit still got to be paid. But I'm not taking in any money. That's kind of like me having a supermarket and saying, come in, you all can get free food.
Yeah, who's paying for that? Yeah.
Supermarket is going to fold. I need income to come in so I can take care of this. Like, that's why
you're telling me you're going to force people to pay rent?
Am I going to force people to pay rent?
You're going to force people to pay their mortgage and their rent? That's
to take people to court. And if they're not, I'm going to. So
you're forcing them against their will to pay you.
No one has the like.
I'm not forcing them against
You're
their will.
You're forcing them to pay you to live in that space.
No, listen, it's not their will. No.
You're forcing them to pay against their will.
It's not their will to not pay it. No, let me say it. Can I say this? It's not their will. The government is saying, that's the government saying that. It's not the person. It's not the person who's renting from me saying, "Hey, I don't want to pay you, and don't force me against my will." You're getting it twisted. That's the whole government that's saying.
People are out of jobs.
The government is saying you don't have to pay.
So
that's not the person saying I don't want to pay.
But what about the people who don't have a job? They don't have nowhere else to go.
And those landlords are sympathetic to that.
But you're going to force them out anyway.
Than the person who is just trying to get over on me.
But how do you know who's trying to get over and who's not?
How do I know who's getting over?
Yeah, I mean, the last statistic said that there were 16 million people out of a job. 16 million.
How I know? I'm going to tell you how I know. How I know as a landlord, first of all, I'm a communicator. So I communicate with my whoever I'm communicating.
Yeah.
Right? Secondly,
what's the unemployment
get
rate
to this point where all of a sudden he wasn't paying. You don't know how much I've talked to my leases and told them, hey, I can work with you here and there. You don't know what I did with my people, so you can't do a blanket statement like that. You stop the blanketness. You can't just blanket that shit because you don't know what I'm doing with my tenants in my building, and you don't know.
But if you're doing that with your tenants in your building, then
what I'm saying, I'm not done. What I'm saying is the government is people to say you don't have to pay me for the rest of the year. That's the government. That's not the
government is incentivizing bad behavior. That's what the government.
What I'm saying.
That's what the government is doing. The government is incentivizing
that upon me.
Yeah, they're incentivizing bad behavior. That's what. That's what.
What I'm saying is the government stopping me from paying my taxes because the government is doing this. This is not the people. This is not. They're just saying I'm not going to pay you your rent for the year.
Let's say the government lifts that up.
She knows this. When this is all said and done, she knows she still needs a place to live. So it's not. They don't just blanket it like that, man.
But let me ask you a question. Go ahead, Kel.
What's the? I guess the unemployment rate is still high, 16 million. I think that the whole issue with the whole thing.
Well, the unemployment rate is flawed. Like real quick, because the thing about unemployment is it accounts for people who are currently under, when you file for unemployment, that's how they track you. But like once you are no longer eligible for unemployment, they stop tracking you. So you could be permanently unemployed and no longer be tracked on the unemployment scale.
So the system, it might be worse than what they know.
Yeah,
correct.
I think that whole idea of incentivizing, are they still giving that extra money for unemployment?
A lot of states are, bro.
See, that's the problem. They need to cut all that
out. They're giving out extra money for unemployment, and they're giving out extra 150 for SNAP benefits if you're on that SNAP.
See, they need to stop giving all of that out because now you got people who are making more money
this time
on unemployment, or not even. Let's say you're not even making more money. You still have enough money to survive and not struggle. And then on top of that, now you don't gotta pay rent. Look, if we're opening up the economy,
people making more money on unemployment than they were making on their jobs. You're right, Henry. They make more money on unemployment right now.
If we're opening the economy back up, niggas need to be paying rent. Like, in the story.
Well, you know, one of the stories that that kind of goes in correlation to this is employers are having a hard time getting employees back to work because the amount of money that they're collecting on unemployment.
That's what I'm saying. So
it's not just housing that's suffering; it's also employers getting employees.
So the message is we're opening back up the economy. Everything is going back to normal. whether it's right away or whether it's, gradually. And that whole end of the year shit is some nonsense.
All it does, man, it makes me, as someone who's a landlord, hesitant. And I know me and Shu talked about this because he's like, he did a about face on being a landlord, and I think this has just been revealing.
Hey, I'm still investing in REITs.
Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, there's other ways to invest in real estate. Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah,
there's other ways to invest, but like actually being a landlord, I know you did an about face. Like, nah, I'm good. and I'm not gonna lie, man. This shit right here, this unprecedented shit that the government just pulled, this shit is making me think twice about buying more property, bro. Like, if any other pandemic,
but I'm gonna say this: even with the government doing that. Hey, Cash, even with the government doing that, what you got to do is you have to structure your lease agreement now. You got to restructure that. You got to be able to understand what needs to go in your lease agreement. Fuck what the government talking about. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I don't care if you get away with not paying me for this year. My lease agreement needs to be structured to where I'm getting this motherfucking money. You're not getting away with not giving me $12,000. Like,
well, like, what do you do when but what do you do even when the state is enforcing a no eviction?
I understand what the state is enforcing. That's a no eviction. But I'm saying in your lease agreement, you have something written up. Once you sign that, that's a document for the court. You understand?
And these courts are back the fuck up, bro. Good luck in getting time.
I know. I'm not talking about, listen, I'm not talking about right now, Cash. I'm talking about down the line. I'm talking about 5 years from now. For the next pandemic, I want to be set up. I want to have a buffer. Because understand that other people that don't look like you and me are going to have buffers. They're going to start putting that in their leases.
Yeah.
Oh, understand that the lease is going to change. Yeah. It's not going to stay the same. People don't and understand this. People don't read leases, so nobody will know. Nobody reads the lease. They just want to. Oh, I got this apartment. Oh, I got this crib. They just signing off. Nobody's really reading.
So what you saying
I'm
is
telling
that
Japanese
future,
something happened.
You're saying the future landlords are going to be looking for 6 months, security deposit instead of month and a half.
6 months security deposit.
But here's the problem with that. As someone, I know in the state of New Jersey,
I need that pandemic deposit.
Nah, but as someone who like, I can tell you right now, in the state of New Jersey, you cannot ask for more than a month and a half in security deposit.
Oh.
Yeah, no, but what I'm just saying is not even you asking 6 months. That's what Black Zoo said. I'm saying you still set it up. It's still structured where, at the end of the day, even if I didn't get my money over this last 2 years, this money is coming to me. You understand?
So I'll do the first, first and a half month security deposit in the first 4 months rent. That ain't a security deposit.
But who has that type of money to give you the first 4?
If you got money like that, people are probably buying a house. But anyway, not everybody, because more people would probably buy red bottoms coats than buy a fucking house. So anyway, that's another story.
All right, fellas, let's
on to the next.
Let's transition to Black Zeus book. I'm looking at the time. My man Henry, he's a staunch.
Oh yeah, I'm on the
10:45er.
Look, I gotta go back into school tomorrow
and talk to your car, boy Smith. All right, man. This is week 2 of The Origin by Dan Brown. Let's start with everyone submitted a question this week. I should have paid attention before we went into this rant. All right, for time management's sake. Obviously, we'll start off
Kel's question until 10:40 so we can keep him here.
Oh, I don't give a fuck. I'll bounce on my own question too. I do not discriminate.
Let's start with Smith's question, bruh. Is morality real?
Oh, so was it a solar eclipse yesterday?
Yeah.
Actually, Henry, I was looking at this movie and they were talking about the red sun rising, and when the red sun rises, it makes people hallucinate and change. So there's my question after this movie I watched. Thanks to the movie.
What's the name of the movie?
What's the name of the movie? Mercury sizes. I don't even know the name, but I know they was talking about this.
Man. You can't make a movie reference and not get the movie title. All right, so my man Smith's question: is morality real? On the news following Kurt's presentation, a viewer responds, "Religion cannot claim morality as its own. I am a good person because I am a good person. God has nothing to do with it. You reference the page number, but if God has nothing to do with morality, then how do we define good and evil? Is there a real objective moral standard that is binding upon all people across all time, or is it merely a social construct? That's a good one. Who want to take a stab? Go ahead.
This book makes me have to dig a little deeper because I'll talk about when we end the book, but yeah, that's the question. If God has nothing to do with morality, how do we define good and evil?
Yeah, I think that.
Go ahead, Henry.
No, go ahead.
I think it has more to do with just the I don't want to say social norms, but just the social rules that we have as far as good morals. You can have people from all
you're
different.
Going to the second, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's the social construct.
Yeah, because you can have people from all different religions, or people who don't even believe in religion who still follow similar morals based off of, what society says is correct. So morality is real. I don't think it's rooted in one religion or no religion. It's just more like the concept of like do unto others.
I want you to spin it here, Kel. I'm not asking you about right and wrong. I'm asking you about good versus evil.
Yeah, well,
and do you know the difference between good versus evil?
I mean, I put them hand in hand. So, I mean, do evil people have morals? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Right and wrong and good and evil, I don't think that's the thing, though.
I don't think it's tied to religion.
Because I could do something that's considered wrong, but it not be evil. But I'm doing it because I'm doing something that's wrong, but my intent is a good intent. I have a good outcome, but it's wrong at this moment. That doesn't make it evil.
Even if that's
to be good still.
But even if that's the case, I don't think that is.
The question is not about right or wrong. The question is about good versus evil.
But good versus evil still isn't rooted in religion. Like, people don't make good.
Elaborate. That's what I want to hear. Elaborate.
People aren't evil because they're atheists. People aren't good just because they go to church. Because if that was the case, you wouldn't have pastors who was stealing from the church. Or you wouldn't have people who don't believe in God or do good things. I mean, I don't want to say don't believe in God, but I don't know. I don't think it's not based on religion. It's just based on society and what our norms say is right and wrong and how we feel about the actions that we do.
Well, society says it's right and wrong, and we don't follow that.
Yeah, but that's not.
So are we still doing the society? Still dealing with the God structure of it.
Everybody's not just basing that on religion. Like, I'm not. And society does to an extent, but that's not. Like, laws aren't based on religion. You know what I mean? Like,
our constitutional bill, like, a lot of it has connections to the Bible.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the 10 Commandments come into into our Constitution, actually.
Yeah.
You know that law, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's ox and thy neighbor's wife. That's in the Constitution, right? Right.
Yeah.
Thou shalt not pray, shall not do any labor on the Sabbath. That's in the Constitution, right?
Yeah, but that's also basic right and
wrong. Thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain is in the Constitution.
No, is that right or wrong, Henry?
Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not kill.
Listen. Let me say this first. Let me say this. I'm not okay. Thou shalt not kill, but in other society, it's an eye for an eye.
Yeah, I don't know what society it is. So you got societies nowadays where it's okay to kill people.
African civilizations, bro. African civilizations, it's an eye for an eye. If you steal, I cut your hand off. If you do certain things, you might get stoned to death. It is what it is. So
thou shalt not kill, but in the United States, a black man still has to be in fear of his life.
Is it a social norm?
right and
Wait,
wrong.
say that again?
Morality is a social norm then in that case. Like it ain't got nothing to do with religion. If socially and
That's what I'm saying. It's
Can I chime in on this one?
But is it a social norm that's based on religion, though? Does it become a social norm based off
Black
religion?
Zeus. Go ahead, bro.
So here's the thing. From my studies and everything, I've come to the basic understanding as of this point that morality is completely subjective. It has nothing to truly do with religion.
About to say that, man. Go ahead, brother.
So, thou shalt not kill. We all get a gut instinct like killing is bad, right? And then, but if I say, all right, if I kill a robber trying to break into my house, then you're understanding, you're empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
So then the rule changes.
Yep.
If I say, if I kill a Muslim man, it's a bigoted hate crime. But if I am a United States Marine killing a Muslim terrorist, then it's patriotism. So it's subjective at the end of the day. Morality is subjective, and the whole thing is religion does not have any trademark or copyright on morality. The whole thing is that we basically feel a sense of morality because of empathy. We say to each other, "Thou shalt not do unto others as you don't want done unto yourself." Meaning the fact of, hey, if you don't like it done to you, then don't do it to other people. And we can understand that. But the whole thing is, when we get deeper into the whole scenario, people change the rules as they see fit. So the whole thing is that it is a subjective, concept. It is not something that is hard rooted in good and evil. Even the best man, it could be a really good man. Even Martin Luther King has been said to have been, a womanizer and physical with his wife. All right, and even Hitler kissed his mom and told her happy birthday. So the whole thing, it's all subjective.
Hey, Black Zeus.
Yo.
That question was for you anyway. That's why I wanted to hear what you had to say. I wrote that question with you in mind. So I appreciate that, because I thought you would be on that. And I definitely think it's subjective also. I think it's a subjective thing. I think it depends on the social part that Henry talks about becomes the subjective part. It depends on what cultural part you're in, because it might be our norm to do this, to act outside of what we think is moral. You know what I mean? And that's just how it is.
What's the next question?
You know what's interesting though? Like when you think about morality, I think, and I used to always ponder this because my mom is very religious, and I used to always think like, well, I'd be devoid of morality if my mom, even though I'm not as religious, if my mom didn't instill those virtues in me. Like, could somebody be devoid of? Because, like, when you think about religion and the grand scheme of religion, it is so embedded in our culture that I struggle whether or not we do have a genetic understanding of morality without religion. Because religion has just seems to have been part of our existence for so long that I don't know. Like, I struggle with that.
I think religion is simply
okay. So take it out.
We may sell morality, but I think it's so. For instance, anybody that's had a child knows that when that child comes out, that child thinks the whole world's about them. I cry, somebody brings me food. I cry, somebody wipes my butt. I cry, and I get whatever I want. So they think that's the way the world works. The world revolves around them. And then the whole thing is that child, when they get upset, they lash out. So if another kid takes a toy that they want, they may smack that kid or hit that kid out of anger. Until that child gets smacked themselves, they're like, oh, that doesn't feel good. And then they're like, oh, I don't like that. And they start to learn that, their actions come with repercussions. So for instance, I could think of a time that when my kid was about 3 years old, me, him, and his mom went 3 or 4 years old. We went to like Quick Check to get some snacks or whatever, right? And he was sitting in the car and he ate his snack before he even, before we pulled off. And he's like, Daddy, can I have some of yours? I'm like, did you give me some of yours when you ate it? And he's like, no. And it was like, so why should I give you some of mine? And this was a learning lesson for him. Ever since then, now when he gets something, Daddy, would you like some? So the whole thing is like morality is something that we teach and we learn, through empathy. We have to go through experiences and say to ourselves, oh, I don't like the way this feels, or I don't like the way that feels. And I don't want the others around me in my tribe to treat me that way. So I'm going to treat the tribe in the same way that I want to be treated. If you
I get that. Yeah, I follow that. That's a good one.
And that's why in the curse where he said religion cannot claim my morality. Yeah. I'm a good person just because I'm a good person.
Exactly.
So guess what? If I'm being raised by my mother and she never does church and she's not religious at all, it's raising me to be a good person. Does that have anything with religion? It has nothing to do with religion.
And here's the thing you have to say to yourself. If a person's only good because their religion tells them if they're not good, they're going to burn in hell and this, that, and the other, are they really a good person? Or are they just under duress?
That's a good one. Because a lot of times religion instills that fear.
That's only good in church.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If you really pay attention to most religions cannot function without fear, ignorance, guilt, and shame. Name your religion that doesn't use those tactics.
Damn. I got to come back to you next week. I got to do some more study on that. Damn. I can't.
It's not a religion.
And here's the thing, not to jump into my question, but look how cancer.
We could jump into your question with that one. Yeah, we could jump into your question.
Look at cancer culture. Look what cancer culture does. It tries to fear you into like losing your job if you say the wrong thing. All right. It plays on people's ignorance when you question certain things like, well, how can a man be a woman? All right. It tries to guilt you for things in the past and history that you have nothing to do with. And then it
like
shames
DMX.
You if you have a
my bad,
opinion.
My bad. I did not start this podcast with a rest in peace to Earl Simmons DMX. My
True
bad.
story.
Because he is trying to be canceled right now by some feminists for his old lyrics. Now that you brought up cancel culture. My bad. Rest in peace, DMX.
Well, F them feminists. I said it. Come get me.
Feminists.
Come get me.
Yeah, I'm doubling down on that. F them feminists. Down with the feminists on that. Like he made
DMX.
Listen, first of all, if you never really listened to DMX, and go back and listen to DMX. And I don't care what he said about females that you didn't like. Listen to what he said about God and think you might like that. Are you religious, man?
It doesn't even have to be religious. Just the fact that the man was,
was
true.
No, I'm talking to females right now. Hey, look, I'm talking to the audience right now.
Yeah.
I'm talking to the audience though. That said, the feminists. I'm talking to the feminists.
Yeah.
Listen to his music. That's what you need to do. Take out the bitches and hoes. Music. Money Cash Shows wasn't the only song. I'm just saying.
Maybe you should get into
your question. We're gonna get into your question right now. The admiral in service of his religious silenced Edmund the same way religion has always historically silenced those who disagree with its doctrine, as mentioned by the nun in chapter 36. Religion is the original cancel culture. If religion has the truth, why does it try to deny science, use fear, ignorance, guilt, and shame to control the masses? Is PC cancel culture the new religion of the millennial generation? Religion has always, I remember watching the History Channel when it was really good content.
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. And one of the things that I've noticed, I remember recalling watching the History Channel when they did a segment on the Old Testament and the New Testament, and you talk about the Gospels currently that it resides in the New Testament. They talked about how there's been other Gospels that should have been part of the New Testaments, but it got canceled because it didn't necessarily fit into the mold of what they were trying to convey. And
that was called the Council of Nicaea.
Yes.
Many of books did not make it into the. So the whole thing is before the Bible that y'all have today, there was the Geneva's Bible, the People's Bible, the Bishop's Bible. There were a multitude of Bibles. When Constantine wanted to unify Rome under one authority, one religion, even though he was still he still believed in a pantheon of gods. He tried to use this religion to unify everyone, and he got all the head leaders of those Christian sects, if you will, and created the Council of Nicaea. They were supposed to come up with one Bible. A lot of books got kicked out of the Bible. The book of Joachim, the book of Philip, the book of Mary Magdalene. Many of the books got kicked out and never made it to the final canon. So the final canon that you have today of the 66 books was the basic, stripped down. And then later on, it got changed up again when King James, who basically wanted to have a son, and every time he would sleep with his wife, he had a daughter, and he wanted to divorce her, and basically the Bible gave him no way to divorce, and they basically manipulated the Bible once again, and now you have the King James version, so he could divorce his first wife to have a second wife in order for him to have a son, which that was his fault, not hers, and so the whole thing is the Bible has a quite a bit of cancel culture, done within it, and also done to the people. Anytime you wanted to silence someone, you would say that they worship the devil or that they did something sacrilegious, and you would burn them at the stake, much like the Knights Templar who served the Catholic Church. And when they got too much money and too much power, the Catholic Church flipped it on them. All right. The king and the church flipped it on because they owed the Knights Templar a lot of money because they were the first banking system, and basically they flipped it on them and basically cancer cultured them by saying that they were devil worshippers and they were spitting on the Bible and this, that, and the other in secret rituals. So this, cancel culture ain't nothing new.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think a lot of parts of religion are built off of guilt. Doing the right thing. If you don't do the wrong thing, this or that happens. If you use your pussy the wrong way, this or that happens. So, I think that's what a lot of it is based off of, like why that's why it denies. I guess science. We had the conversation last week about can the two coexist as far as why religion doesn't necessarily use science, but I think you do have this, this story of Jesus and God, and within that, there's alleged rules that's supposed to be right and wrong. And what else are you going to use besides shame and guilt? You're not kicking people out of the church if they do anything wrong. You're still accepting them. You're still allowing them to come back. So there has to be
kick them out of the church. You kick them out of the church, Henry, if it's going to affect your money.
Yeah, well, regardless of the reason.
It brings a stain on the church. You do kick them out of the church.
So you have to.
I'm not talking about the parishioners. I'm talking about the clergy.
Mm-hmm.
So like it said, like the religion is the original cancel culture. Religion is the original secret society. You know what I mean? That's what the church had going on. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, is it a cancel culture? No. Because we didn't cancel the church. We found out that they're sleeping with boys, and we've paid out money from the churches. I'm saying we as a church, even though I don't attend it. But we as a church, we've paid out money and everything. And we didn't cancel the culture of the clergy sleeping with our parishioners. We didn't cancel that. That's not canceled. It just got more underneath the rug. You know what I mean? So it's still happening, like with the Boy Scout shit is still happening. It's just a little more quiet. So I think, again, that the religion is just set up to purely separate the masses. If everybody's book is saying the same things or saying things that are similar, then why is there not one book? But there has to be religion, just like there has to be different cultures, because it allows you to be able to divide and conquer. So I want to be a Buddhist. He wants to be we're going to call them the atheists. We call them atheists because they don't believe in God. They don't believe in God. Some atheists believe that there's a higher power. Some of them believe there's a higher power. Some of them are actually spiritual, but they don't believe in God, but we don't call them atheists because don't believe what we believe. That's still a ploy of the church. So if they don't, if you have somebody that's coming out like an Edward Kirsch, who's coming out and saying, Edmund, he's coming out and saying, hey, I got something that's going to say, because this is the question that I'm still trying to figure out. And I wanted that to be my question, but I'll hold that to next week. He's still trying to figure out, where do we come from? Who are we and where do we come from? Those are the two questions you keep asking, right? Like, who are we and where do we come from? And I don't know if those questions get answered in this book, you know?
Well, here's the thing.
I don't know if his, we were talking about, you know, with the extraterrestrials was his new big thing to show, hey, look, we're not alone. I don't know what thing is right now. And I don't know if he's going to answer that. But the cancel culture of the religion is definitely that if you don't agree with the church has to do away with you. And guess what? The church will get violent in order to keep a secret. You know what I mean? The church will result to violence. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's what the church did with the Illuminati.
As we see with the admiral. The admiral is of the church. You know what I mean? He did exactly what he was hired to do, you know, or what he was assigned to do.
I mean, the whole thing is that the church has been doing that since, you know, during the time of the Enlightenment with, you know, people think the Illuminati is some sort of evil, devil worshiping, because that's what the church said it was. But the Illuminati was actually a bunch of scientists and philosophers who had to go basically underground in order to talk about science and philosophy, because they challenged the idea of the church. Galileo was a devout Christian, and he basically said, hey, you know what, the universe does not revolve around us. The sun, you know, the earth goes around the sun. And they said, you know, they basically silenced him and said, listen, you better shut up, or, you know, that's going to be the end of you. You know, they basically just one level underneath excommunicated him, and he basically had to shut the hell up and not say anything out in public. But many of philosophers and scientists had to go underground.
Yeah, Illuminati not devil worshippers.
They're not devil worshippers. They're great thinkers.
Illuminate. Illuminate
to bring to light. Yep.
They were great thinkers, and the whole thing is the church says, "Oh no, we ain't gonna bring that higher IQ thinking shit in here. We're not doing that. All right, we're gonna keep the people sheeple." And you also got to remember the fact that before the printing press, you know, people didn't have Bibles to read it for themselves. So they had to go to the church and had these parishioners tell them what the Bible said. And whatever verses they wanted to share is the verses they wanted to share. And you couldn't read it for yourself. But as soon as the printing press came along and they could print out copies of the Bible and people could start reading it for themselves, that's when you started getting people breaking off from the church. That's how the very first break off was from the Catholic Church with the Protestants. It was literally meant in protest of the Catholic Church. After the Protestants, and you had all these other religions, the Baptists, the Methodists, the Lutherans, and so forth and so on. So it just shows you, once you're allowed to start thinking for yourself and start questioning the doctrine, you start to break off from it. And that's what's happening even to this day, where the younger people are like, yeah, I don't buy. We studied a little bit of science, and we know that 2 white people can't make black people, Asian people, Indian people. And we know that if, you know, brothers and sisters mess around, you get a mess up in the genetic code, and you come out with a bunch of messed up babies. So something don't sound right about that story.
Yeah, and I'm reading the Bible, and Shuba's reading the Bible, and Shuba's the pastor, and he wants to give me his interpretation. But guess what? I can read.
Yes.
So I can interpret this to what it says for myself. But the whole cancel culture still works, because do we want to believe that God created man, or do we want to believe that Charles Darwin came up with a evolution of how it happened? You know what I mean? So that's why we got to deny science, because if science is going against God, then God doesn't exist. And if God doesn't exist, then we don't make any money. And if we don't make any money, then everything, the whole construct of religion and God, it goes out the window. And do we get anarchy? You know, if we take a belief system, we got them to believe in this God. Like how some people are fanatics and they believe in their team, Lakers, Phillies, Sixers.
Listen, bro, ain't nobody else but the New York Giants, okay? That's all there is.
These people. Oh yeah, you know I'm a Giants fan.
Only
of Knicks
Giants.
fan all day.
No other team exists.
No other team exists.
All those other teams are false teams. Okay,
Oh,
they're
damn.
not real teams.
I didn't know when the Giants in the past 5 years did they win the Super Bowl?
Hey! That's sacrilege.
But to answer Shaman on the question, is the PC cancel culture the new religion of the millennial generation? Unfortunately I have to agree with that. It's quite and it seems to have derived from aspects of many other religions that often don't allow for difference of opinion or difference of intelligence. It just seems as though there has to be this sort of monolith way of thinking. And that's unfortunate. It just seems as though we like to say that we are not monolithic as a people, but anytime something questions the beliefs of, questions one's individual beliefs, it seems as though that person needs to be shunned and their message needs to never see the light of day. But but like Schubert gave a fucking dissertation earlier in regards to like how we got into it's true though, because I wanted to rewatch it. I wanted to order that segment off the History Channel because that was kind of eye-revealing for me as a adolescent watching that documentary piece and to see that yes, there's been many aspects of the books of various gospels that have been left out, and it's kind of eye-revealing in regards to like how. Yeah, if it didn't necessarily chronologically go in with the message of Christ, it just didn't necessarily fit the mold. But
there's actually whole books about Christ as a child and everything, and growing up and things that just didn't sound like very divine. Like, don't you think it kind of weird that it's just like, okay, he's born, he's 33 and getting baptized. It's like, what happened in between? You know, did he not have any like words of wisdom or this, that, and the other? And, like, was he showing that he was divine, or was he like, was he like, yo,
he was
Joseph,
unholy.
Joseph, don't be telling me what to do. You ain't my real daddy. So like the whole thing is, it's just like, there is a lot missing there. And I mean, mind you, I apologize about the dissertation. I've read a lot into this stuff, like I have a, anybody that comes into my house, you go in my bedroom, you'll see on my dresser, I have a copy of the Bible, the Quran, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Bhagavad Gita, the Torah, the book on Buddhism. So like I've looked extensively into this stuff, trying to give it its fair shake, and just like when you get deep into it, you're like, man, listen.
Yeah. I can see why Ewan Smith was a fan of this book. Next question. What time is it? All right. Landon was apprehensive about the self-driving car in chapter 49, just like how people are apprehensive about GPS technology at first. Why are people so ready to have faith in untangible religions and so reluctant to accept well-established science? That's a good fucking question. I don't know, bro.
Who's really gonna have 100% faith in a freaking self-driving car?
I don't know, but
I know what you were about to go with this, but yeah,
he's very good. He's very good at he's very good at making painting pictures of stuff. So he painted the picture of the Tesla very well. Say, hey,
how reliable though is the non-driving car?
Well, here's how.
Hold on, I don't think Smith was finished.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes.
Let Smith finish his point.
Oh no, I was just saying that.
Oh, okay.
I'm ready to dive in. I wasn't ready to dive in. I was just saying that.
Like, okay. Have you ever seen the Google car? Have you ever seen Google Maps?
I've seen Google Maps, yes.
All right. If you've seen Google Maps and you've actually clicked on it where it shows a picture of, like, if you put your address in and you click on Google Maps and you'll see a picture of your front door, right? That was done by a self-driving car.
Yeah, like Waymo.
All right. That was done by a self-driving car. This is not new technology. This is like years of technology.
And to add on to that, like Waymo has been having self-driving cars, like you were saying, for years. And they said that of the hundreds of miles that this car has been on the road, driving by itself, The accidents, the very few accidents that it did occur, was all occurred by other humans.
Exactly.
It was not.
You gotta understand. Nothing wrong with the self-driving car as a whole. You know, we were supposed to have cars that was supposed to be like the Jetsons by the time we was 2000, from what I was told when I was growing up, right? So it's not about the self-driving cars. The self-driving autonomous cars actually, they don't get into 2 minutes at all, and people use them now. I think probably one of the next cars that I buy will be a Tesla, just because I like the fact that, you know, it can drive itself.
Yeah.
And I've actually been inside one, and I like the dashboard of it, and it is a self-autonomous. It does do exactly what Robert Langdon was doing, and you make sure you want to put your hands on the steering wheel. It also tells you that it's supposed to drive like that. See, that's the part that people don't understand. You're not supposed to let it drive itself, but it can drive itself. You understand?
Yeah.
On the highway, you're
still sitting behind the wheel.
But you don't have to be sitting behind the wheel.
Yeah.
They've got it to where to be sitting behind the wheel, you can have it driving itself. You know what I mean? And you just set it up like that. That was part of the thing that Tesla, they actually had a lawsuit to get out of the passenger's seat, out of the driver's seat. So when you get out of the driver's seat, it actually will shut the car off, as opposed to letting you climb in the back and letting it drive, you know, letting it still drive. They were supposed to fix that. They got sued for that one. So they're going to fix that. I'll probably get one by the time they fix that. But all in all, like at the end of the day, you won't put your faith in science. All right. You want to put your faith in a belief. Why are you going to put your faith in a belief? Because this belief has been built and instilled in you. So even if you don't recognize God, you know of God. You understand? Most people. Yeah. I won't make a generalization, but most people, if they don't recognize God, they do understand that there's a God. Most people. All right. So to put myself in something that I can't see, so I can just believe shit like Bigfoot, like a unicorn, like the Loch Ness Monster. You know what I mean? So I can just believe and have faith in something that gives me my faith, that gives me my set of faith, my set of there's something greater, even though I don't know what it is. Whereas this car has been tested and everything, but I don't trust humans. I don't trust humans to be able to make something like this. So until it becomes like red bottoms or true religions, the science works, but I'm not going to believe in the science until some more rappers put it in their videos or something.
Yeah, I think that's what it is too. Like the self-driving cars is something that you see on the street every day. So I mean, it's not really tried and true. I think we have the same faith in airbags that we have in religion, because it's been around for however many long, or in the seatbelt that we have in religion, but some shit that
they are trying to
not saying
no. You're not understanding the question.
Yeah, I was about to say, can I chime in the question?
Let me be a little bit more clear. Let me be a little bit more clear about the question.
Is the tangible part. Because
thank you. That's specifically it is tangible versus untangible.
Because many aspects of the Bible is untangible. It's not even proven to be actually historically fact, but yet we cling on to it. Meanwhile, we have the Teslas of the world that has been proven time and time again to be reliant. And I think that's where I've always...
So let me try the same car with you.
It's just something I'm going to give you.
Hold on. I'm going to give you one car that has no seatbelt, has no airbag, and the brakes sometimes hit, sometimes don't hit. All right. I'm going to ask you to drive that car with the faith of God that you'll be okay, or I'll ask you to get into this car that has detectors to pick up traffic.
Yeah, that's a whole extreme. That's like saying, okay, I'm gonna have you.
But that is the extreme, my dude. You're not letting me finish. You're not letting me finish my point.
Okay.
My point is the fact of people have faith in something that is completely intangible and has no track record of proving that it works versus something that does. Even though there's a chance that you can get hurt in both scenarios, one has a track record and one does not.
Well, this is what they feel comfortable with. Just like people got a lucky rabbit's foot. There's no truth in the matter that it works. You get athletes who do the same rituals and routines every single time. There's no proof that it works, but that's what they feel comfortable with.
Absolutely.
Now, if there was self-driving cars, if every car was a self-driving car, then that same person who believes in God, something that's intangible, would feel comfortable believing in the whole self-driving car.
You're not hearing
but
me.
no, but what I think what Shu was saying is right off the bat, people put blind faith into whatever their religion or superstitions are.
With no evidence whatsoever.
You're familiar with it. You don't take somebody who's brand new the first time I go to church, I'm just gonna believe every single thing that I hear. No, I have to
You're
keep
not
going.
familiar with God.
That's what I'm saying. You have to familiarize yourself with the whole religion and the practices. The first time that I stepped foot in church, okay, I've never been to church before. I don't know anything about religion. I go one time and then I'm like, oh, well, I just believe everything blindly. No, you have to become familiar with it.
But there's some people who are indoctrinated at a very young adolescent age.
Yeah, but they don't believe it the first time that they see it.
They do, though. There's some kids. I watch videos.
They do believe it because that's all they know.
Okay, all right. Let's hold on.
They're familiar with it.
Let's compare.
They're not familiar with it. They only recite what they're being told.
So you're telling. Let me answer this question. So if Edwin Kirsch was sitting behind, so if he always sat behind the wheel of a.
Let me answer your question. Don't go into another one. Let me answer that question. I'm not familiar with it because you taught this to me. I don't know it, and I still don't understand it. It's just what's been taught to me. You understand the difference?
So I'm believing it. I'm believing it, even though I don't understand it. That's stupid.
There's a lot of people like that, bro.
Okay, but that's 90% of religion. People understand, but they don't understand it, but they still follow it.
Come on, y'all throwing numbers out there. 90% of the people don't understand. That's an opinion.
So it's not an opinion.
It's not an opinion. Because if you look at the
the answer every time you question something about you should just have faith. I don't understand. Just have faith. I don't understand. Just have faith.
Let me bring up this one example. So in the Middle East, you got the Shiites and Sunnis. They're constantly going to war.
They're killing each other.
They're killing each other over
same book.
Over religious reasons, right? You could look this up. In the Middle East, it has one of the poorest literacy levels out there. So how is these people believing in the word of the Torah and they can't read the Torah?
So they don't have a version of church where they go and it's preached to?
I don't know. They have their temples, but
because if they don't have it, then no. Okay, that doesn't make sense.
But it goes back to what I said about.
Let me say this. Wait. Let me just say this. This is how the belief is. And understand, the belief of the church is like this. I believe because my parent believes. All right? I become a blood because my parent is one. I don't even know what the fuck it is.
Yeah, that's initially. But then
I'm throwing up signs. I'm throwing up set.
Yeah, no,
it's the same thing.
Okay, how about this?
There's no denying that that's how you're introduced. There's no denying that.
I don't know. Yes. I don't know what I'm looking at, Henry.
So are we talking about? So we're talking
just
about.
Because I believe something doesn't mean I know about it.
Smith, of course, when you first get introduced to it as a child, you may not know about it. So are we saying that the kids are the ones who have blind faith? So now you're following it your entire life.
Believe it.
And
from
you
the time that you're a child.
Okay. What about? How about this? How about Scientology? Scientology is the newest of all religions. This thing is brand spanking new, right? Is it not in comparison to all other religions that got thousands of years? So let's compare a new religion that doesn't have children like who were born and raised in this for generations. Scientology is something new. People actually believe in the space lord Xenu, who came and captured a bunch of aliens and dropped their spirits here on Earth. And now we're filled with these spirits of these aliens that are enslaved to the Lord Xenu, and that we have fecal readers that tell us how close we are to achieving our actual alien selves.
Okay.
People buy into this shit every day.
Do they understand it?
They don't understand it.
So they don't understand the religion that they're following.
They still follow it. That's the worst part about it. Science, you can actually go to school and understand.
Okay, so the average person who believes in science, they have an understanding of it. So the everyday person who sits in a car and they understand exactly how the airbag works. They understand exactly how the self-driving car works. No.
They might not. No. They might not understand how it works, but they might know the safety numbers regarding the efficiency behind that. Like there's something tangible with that.
They may know. The average person, I don't think, is knowing that. The average
person. All right, let's put it like this, Kel. The average person, can you learn how it works?
But you can.
Can you go to an auto school and learn how it works?
Schubert, but that's not the argument. Hold on, Schubert. Time out, Schubert. That's not the argument. The argument is people are saying, "Oh, well, you're following religion without knowing anything about it. You can learn about."
No, it's not that it's not knowing anything about it. It's not tangible. It's not. It can't be proven.
That's not you. Who just said?
Look at the question.
No, somebody just said 90% of the people who follow religion don't even know anything about it. Can you learn it? Yes, you can. Just like you can learn about the science. It's no different.
No. There's a difference.
I said,
how is it different? You can learn.
Let me explain.
Let me explain. Follow religion don't understand it.
So, but can you learn about it? According to what Schubert's saying, can you learn?
Hold up. You're mixing up what I'm saying by learning.
Can you learn about what?
Let me explain myself.
Can you learn about religion
in more detail? Hold on. Let me explain myself in more detail. All right. Can you go to an auto school and learn how a car works, how combustion works, how an engine works? Absolutely. You can sit there and get a detailed lesson from start to finish of how every part of that car works. Religion does not go that far. Religion says this is a story. And when you ask about the details, well, how did Adam and Eve make black babies? Or if Cain and Abel were the only ones, who did they marry? Who did they, have children with? And if Cain got, so Abel got killed and Cain was the one that made babies, but he got banished. How come, we're okay with having the guy who got banished, who was the bad guy in the story, have all the babies of the world? And who did he have these babies? And no one has explanations. There's no answer. Okay. No, it's not a different thing.
Schubert,
because there's a point where it's just like you have to stop thinking.
Schubert,
you have to stop thinking. And that's the problem.
Schubert, here's the difference. I asked all of those questions. I got my answers. Now I understand it. Am I still choosing? Yes, I'm choosing to. Hold on, wait. I'm choosing to believe in it. That's not the same thing as saying, I don't know anything about it. That's not the same thing.
You're not hearing me. There was no answers.
Schubert, and I'm understanding that, and I'm still choosing to believe in it. That's not the same thing as not understanding it. I'm just saying I'm just wrong, believing it for no reason.
I'm not talking about understanding.
So when you're
not getting it, Henry. I'm not talking about understanding.
Whoa, one at a time.
So just to clear this up, hold on. So just to clear my understanding.
It is very unfair that you won't let anybody else chime in.
Sorry.
There's no clearing. Stop talking. While I still have my fresh thought.
Let Henry finish his part and then Smith.
So just to clarify the question, when you're saying that 90% of the people don't understand religion, you're saying that the story.
Don't use 90% because he doesn't know numbers.
Get off.
Take 90% out.
So we're not.
Numbers.
You're getting off of what the actual question is.
Deal with facts, so take 90% out because that's
okay.
So you're getting off the question.
Exactly.
The question
Let him
is,
finish, but take 90% out.
So get back to the original question. Okay. You're getting off of you're getting off.
Let Henry finish because I got something to say. I do got something to say.
Oh Lord!
All right, finish. So Henry finish and then Smith.
Finish Henry.
So to answer the original question, people have faith in things that they understand. Whether it makes sense to other people or not, they still understand it. Okay, well, I understand that Adam and Eve was conceived, and now we aborted from there to where we are now with religion. I understand it, and I believe in that faith. I understand that better than me sitting behind a car that I have no idea about because this is still new. If these self-driving cars, let's just keep it to the book, and then you can go, Smith. If Edwin Kirsch sat behind a self-driving car numerous times, he wouldn't be putting his hands on the steering wheel because it's like, okay, I feel comfortable with this. I've experienced this more than one time. Smith?
Not true. He still will be putting it on it.
I'm
saying one night he will still be putting his hands on the steering wheel because it's not a few times. It's like jumping out of an airplane with every time. So it's not the same. You're still going to have that certain level of fear because it's still new. It's going to be new probably up to a year or something like that.
So however many times.
One, I was saying, but what? Wait, just off this question. All right. And the question was, why are people so ready to have faith in unintangible religions and so reluctant to accept well-established science? Right. So, and this is our base argument. Science, you have this science that says this has been proven. You took a vaccine because you trusted the science. All right. That's why you took your vaccine, because you trusted the science. Cash didn't take one because Cash doesn't trust the science. Cool. We established that, right? So what you're saying is, and what Black Zeus is arguing is that people don't know these stories to be true, don't know these stories to have any answer to it. You just have an understanding of this. You don't have an understanding. You still don't know how Adam and Eve was together and all of the world got populated. You don't understand that. So you can't say you understand it because you don't fucking understand it. And even if you say you do, we all know that you don't. Because like Black Zeus said, how do you get the black babies from just Adam and Eve then? Like, it doesn't make sense. Where does this snake come from? How do you turn into a pillar of salt? So you don't understand these fucking stories. I look back and all of a sudden I turn into a pillar of salt. But you can understand something that has been tested by science and tested more than once and tested more than 3, 4, 5 times. Not that vaccine that you took. But anyway, these other things have been tested and understand what I'm saying? So that's the argument right there. And why would people believe in something that is, so I'm going to believe that God had this one son, Jesus, that came and he decided to walk the earth and they crucify him. And then everything happened because he only had, why didn't God give up his daughter? Again, these are all intangibles that you don't have answers to, where I can look at this tablecloth and I can say, because I know this is burgundy because this is the color. You understand? That's something tangible that I can hold. I know that Henry has an orange shirt on. I don't know if God is up here. So if God is over my house right now, but God is also over your house right now, and he's over Shoe's house, and he's over Cash's house. I'm just asking. See, this is where we start talking about God and start talking about something higher being. You can really go into some underlying and tunnels.
Smith,
and whenever you're ready to go into those tunnels, you let me know.
Is it that you
I
don't
got a flashlight,
understand?
damn it.
Is it that you don't understand the answer, or you've accepted it?
There is no answer.
Is it that I don't?
Well, can I say
no
one thing before Black Zeus go into his? I think
ahead.
for what I see, and this is just to keep this real short, religion has more blind spots that is widely accepted to have their blind spots, where science have to go through a litany of scrutiny to get any validity.
Amen.
Amen. Well,
and nobody's saying that that's right or wrong. I just feel like if somebody
no one's saying it's right or wrong, but it's just how is it that science constantly have to have all of these litany of tests to see any sort of validity, whereas religion with its known blind spots, despite whatever the religion is, and it's just widely accepted.
I think with
there's
religion,
inconsistency in your epistemology when you say that science got to go through these hoops and hurdles and that to prove that it's legit, but you don't apply that same thought process when it comes to religion. It's selective reasoning.
Well, you got people who choose to believe what they want to believe in, just like some people believe in science and some people believe in religion. Now, whether the answers that you get make sense to certain people, okay. People were conceived from Adam and Eve. Okay, I understand it. Now, whether it makes sense to the next person, I have an understanding of how they say that this started. Now, whether I choose to believe in it or not doesn't mean that I don't have an understanding.
No one has an understanding.
To say you have an understanding and to truly understand is different.
I think you have more of an acceptance more than an understanding.
Exactly. Yeah,
you have an acceptance of the Adam and Eve. You don't have an understanding of that.
Exactly.
You don't understand it. That's different. It's not the same thing. You're just accepting it. If you could prove to me how Jesus Christ rose from the dead, then you can get your Christianity in there and your God. Well, if you can show me how he rose from the dead, you get your Christianity in it and your God. And that's how you can show people that they both exist.
We kind of had this conversation. We kind of had this conversation last week where scientists can't prove how human life started. And
bullshit.
They're not
theory of the Big Bang.
Bullshit.
So there's proof. So they have proof. Hold on. So there's proof.
Yes, there is
well,
proof.
No, well, I would say this. There's theories.
No. Here's the thing.
So how do they say it started?
Damn, we revisiting this again.
Real simple.
Like,
real simple.
because
let's be clear about that.
No, because I agree with Henry in that part.
All right, let me be clear about definitions. All right, I shouldn't say proof, because proof means without any doubt whatsoever. Right?
Correct. Yeah,
but there's evidence. Yeah. Okay, and the whole thing is evidence. The evidence. All right. So if you understand anything of how cells work, all right, I don't want to go too much into biology, but cells create tissues. All right. A number of cells come together. They create tissues. Tissues create organs. Organs create organ systems. Organ systems create you. All right. So the whole thing is understanding how cells work and how they divide and how they become tissues and how they become organs, organelles, organ systems, and become you is basically how we are evolving from the time that you did not fucking exist and your mom and dad bust a fucking nut, and you evolved. All right. We took that science and we find.
I got a question for you.
We take that science. And then at that we apply that same science.
I got a question for you.
Hold on, let me finish. We take that same science and we apply it when we find other evidence in history, everything from the fossil record to what's the word I'm looking for? Damn it, I can't.
So science can explain how the first thing was ever created.
Science can't explain how the first thing was created. It's not a created. Here's the thing. Hold on. Here's the thing. Science has done enough research.
Y'all gotta let me ask.
But let me just finish. Science has done enough research to find out that everything that has ever been has always been. All right. As far as we know, has always been.
But how did it get here?
But how did it get here? At what point are you talking about? So I can be clear. What part are you talking about? Because there's two parts here. People intertwine.
My turn.
Oh Lord! See, I didn't get a chance to finish this.
Go back to the book.
Smith's gonna bring it back to the book. Smith is gonna bring it
because look, that whole theory.
Because I'm really trying to understand how somebody can sit there and you say that some fictional bullshit story about two white people out of nowhere made everybody, but can't think about how.
Stop real quick.
Go.
Sorry.
Because we could talk about God and we could talk about Charles Darwin. All right, but Kirsch in the book proved that life can naturally arise,
which sounds like Adam and Eve.
Right?
Adam and Eve was not a cell.
Yeah, Adam and Eve was not a cell. They were a full-fledged human being at that point.
And that's the whole point.
My question is
this. Can y'all let Smith go?
Go ahead.
At what point in this evolutionary process did the conscious arise?
No one knows.
No, because again, you're saying you're going to go with Darwin's theory, Henry's back theory. At what point did the consciousness rise?
Nobody knows. They're still trying to figure that out.
But if it was there through the
so then that's
no.
Thank you.
I'm asking you a question. At what theory do you get? If God, you come with the conscious. If you're going through man became from monkey. If man came from monkey, if man came from
man
fish,
did not come from monkey.
Look, if man, listen.
Sorry.
Get a second. If man came from these single amoeba cells that turn into these fucking multisingular, that turn into these fucking fish, that turn into these goddamn dinosaurs, that turn into this monkey, that turn into this man, however you want to look at that process, when did consciousness arise? That's my only question.
And
if we don't have an answer, hold that till next week. And next week, I would like you to tell me, when does consciousness arise? through God or through evolution. That's my only. Because in the book he talked about that. Kirsch, you know.
Well, I would.
And what are the component, the component consciousness?
I would dare to say that it would come.
That's more. That's a lot bigger than where did God come from or where did man come from. When did we start thinking?
Well, that whenever we developed,
we was a monkey, and monkey started saying, "Hey, I don't want to be a monkey, man."
No, a monkey. No, that's not how it happened.
And science can't answer that question, but we still believe in science.
But science did happen that way, though.
Hold up, time out. Whoa.
Well, I gotta put back on that.
No, science never said it had that answer. Science is trying to find the answer. That's the thing.
So then
you're believing. Let me get this straight.
Again.
Science is trying to find the answers through actual evidence and actual
Henry
proof.
Is saying you only have theory.
And you're just saying the butler did it.
Theories. So Henry is saying the Big Bang is a theory. Henry is saying the evolution is a theory, but you said they weren't. Henry is telling you that
they are. Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
So Henry's argument is, how do I believe something that is not true? You understand?
So, all right. So here's the thing. You don't understand the definitions of science. All right. If you actually study science, theory.
I don't understand.
No, not you specifically. I'm saying the fact of I'm not giving you my definition of it. Theory in science is not the same as theory in layman's term. In layman's term, theory is a guess. In scientific term, theory is where all the evidence has led to. It is the strongest backed up. It is the strongest backed up.
Theory is based off of all of this. It's the strongest backed up guess. Come on, Black Zoom, don't do that to me. It's the strongest backed up guess.
No, a hypothesis is the guess.
No,
the hypothesis is the guess. The whole thing. So, okay. So you're telling me?
Can we? Let's see if we could squeeze it.
No, we good. We good. Because after we done with this, I'm out. So
now let's squeeze in. Let's squeeze in this Henry's question.
All right, let's say it is a guess. Let's say it is a guess. You're telling me the guess that has actual evidence and proof of evidence is equal to some fucking story pulled out of somebody's ass that had no idea how any of the stuff works. Is that what you're
random guess?
Those two things are equal.
A guess based in facts is I'm telling you that a guess based in facts is different. A guess based in actual evidence than just me pulling some rap. But it's still a guess.
Yes.
All right, let's say it is a guess.
Doesn't matter if I just
and I will agree with you. I will agree with you. Let's say it is a guess. It's an educated guess.
Let me say this.
Go ahead.
Madness. If I guess that this team is going to win and I pull it out the hat, it's a guess. This team is going to win. And I do facts and I do analytics that this team is going to win. My guess could be as equal to the analytics, though. They're still both guess.
Yeah.
There is no proving. I don't know that you're going to beat Henry in a game of basketball. Based off the analytics, based off my guess, you two have to play each other for me to decide who's actually going to win. Understand? It's still a guess based
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Based off me just guessing.
Okay, I get what you're saying, but which one do you have? Which one do you quote unquote have more faith in? The one that has evidence behind it?
It's still a guess.
It's still a guess.
All right, fine.
To be honest,
so
I don't think Edmund Kirsch, he's a futurist. Edmund Kirsch doesn't spend much time delving in the evolution of human beings. He's worrying about the future of human beings, the civilization of society. So I think, to Edmund Kirsch's credit, like let's not put him in that bucket, his character in that realm of trying to, denounce evolution or, I don't think that's what he was doing.
Listen, my whole thing is if that's the way you want to go about it, you know what? Don't go to a hospital. Don't go to a hospital. Pray your COVID away. Don't use a car. Pray that you'll get to work. Pray that food will show up on your table. Pray that all of that shit will happen. Pray.
Okay, Black
Jump out of a helicopter. Jump out of a.
You take the vaccine and pray that it's gonna work.
I mean, wow. Take a vaccine and pray that's going to work.
Do both. Why not?
I agree. Some people, I agree with Kelvin. There's some reasonable people who are religious, but they're not so blinded by their religion that they can't be realistic with approaches. Yeah.
But here's my thing.
And I'm
it's
pretty
not
sure that there's
I'm
some
fine,
scientists. I'm pretty sure there's some scientists who believe in religion too.
There are plenty.
There are.
Actually, the scientists who came up with, who originally discovered or came up with the Big Bang Theory was a Catholic priest.
So then it doesn't have to be all in one. Like, oh man, if you're gonna believe in religion,
it's not a matter of all in one. It's a matter of like you don't use the same thought process with your religion that you try to
do with
your
science.
You
and
put science through more scrutiny than you put your religion. That's the bottom line. At least science has evidence and proof.
Exactly. And there's no denying that. And it's because people, whether it makes sense or not, have a better understanding of religion. And this isn't even them studying it.
With you again. I'm not
this is them sitting in church.
I don't even see that.
Yo, Smith. Okay, so hold on. Here's what I'm saying. Understanding. If I'm sitting in church, if I'm sitting in church every Sunday and I'm listening to, even if there's stories of what's happening, where am I going?
Okay, go ahead.
Where am I going weekly to understanding science? Not saying
YouTube,
adults,
internet, books, libraries.
But there's nobody preaching that to them.
I'm going outside. And I'm seeing the sun rise and the sun set. I'm understanding that tides and shit are the moon. That's I'm dealing with.
You're doing like Isaac Newton, who try to understand gravity.
So everyday life is gonna
exactly like gravity. I jump, I come down. Fast.
So everyday life helped homeboy understand that a car drives itself.
No, understanding if you actually go to try to understand the science that led to that.
But what I'm saying is, the average person, again, whether
helps them understand that.
Say it again.
Understand this story.
Say it again, Smith.
Going to church once a week helps me understand a story that, again, as Black Zeus said, there's no validity.
Yeah, if I'm not,
I'm supposed. Listen, you're telling me this is what you're telling me. I'm supposed to believe it. Listen, Henry. Let me say this. Because when I got a point, it's a good point.
I didn't even say anything.
Let me say it. I'm not done. I'm supposed to.
Smith, I'm not even saying nothing, bro.
Smith got the Wu-Tang. You're Wu-Tang, nigga, Wu-Tang. Smith got the Wu-Tang.
Check it, because you want me to believe that a man.
Yo, they need to have his frozen ass. They need to have.
If my mother wait, Henry. If my mother goes to the supermarket.
This nigga, the man,
got 15 people in our family living in a 2-bedroom apartment. She's not making that one stretch.
Smith, my dude, you
understand what I'm saying?
No, because you got
your Wi-Fi keep cutting out,
Smith,
bro.
Your connection is whack, bro. I heard supermarket, Jesus,
I'm gonna call
dinosaur.
But look, what I was saying. Let me say it. Let me just say it so you can hear it, because I gotta get off. I can't.
Smith, it's not delayed, bro. You're chopping in and out. Nigga, we can't hear you.
You're going in and out.
I'm chopping in and out. So
yes.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah, we're not hearing you.
Ahead, bro.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to shorten it. You said Jesus had a fish that fed thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people.
Okay.
My mom goes to the supermarket and gets a fish. We have a family of 15. My mother can't stretch this fish to 15 people. So how do I believe a story about a man?
Because your mom ain't.
How do I believe a story about being able to stretch this one? How do I believe a story about a man that's not been proven when you're telling me this man has turned water into wine? I take my water and it doesn't turn into wine. And you're saying that's proven, Henry? And people, that's it. I'm just saying.
There's not a yacht or a cruise ship large enough to carry the gender.
And I don't believe the science that Black Zeus is saying. Black Zeus is showing me science, but you need to believe that man split the whole sea so people could walk through and took one fish and made it enough for everybody to eat. And I've never seen that ever in my life, ever. And I'm supposed to believe that?
What, though? I ain't gonna say it. I ain't even gonna say it. I gotta go. I'm out.
I just take that piece.
Man,
I was thinking off of what Black Zeus was saying. I just want to say that piece because you said
I'm gonna get Smith
that people just believe in God because it's an easier story to understand. And I'm saying, how is that an easier story to understand? A magician is an easier story to understand than science?
Yeah, when science
I'm
is
a-
being taught to you.
Magician is an easier story to understand than science.
Hell
Science
yeah,
is being taught to you, but magician is not.
not to adults.
Science
man.
is being taught to you,
All
like
right, you're
Black
right. You know,
and
so
Cat
I
in
should
school,
worship at the ground
you learn
of
science.
what's his name? What's the name of this guy, this magician? Something
David
Zane.
Blaine.
David Blaine. I
Yeah.
should worship at him
Listen.
because he's alive and he does this miracle stuff all the time.
Listen,
So why are we not worshiping at his temple?
There's
Walks on
no,
water and floats in it.
there's no denying.
This motherfucker made the Statue of
Good point,
Liberty disappear.
If you had
Good point, Black
scientists,
Zeus.
if you had scientists who was delivering weekly sermons that's explaining scientific whatevers, you'd have a lot of people who would switch over from religion to science. But they
That would be
have,
a beautiful thing, but that's not what people want to hear.
I was about to
Scientists
say,
give lectures all the time. I have been to
It's not a
multiple lectures,
sermon,
and those
it's all
lectures
they
are
do is
never
it's
full.
It's called TED Talk.
Is it free?
It's called TED Talk, Henry.
Yes,
Is it in every community?
I don't know if it's at
Yes,
every
That's what I'm
community.
saying. And I'm not
but if
saying.
the-
Hold up.
And I'm saying that
If the
It's in
masses-
every if you want to get yourself involved. Listen,
You know what?
first of all, the community is the internet. So if you want to find it, you can find it. So don't say it's in every community. You got a computer in your house, it's in your community.
Today it is. Yep, he's right.
You got a computer in your house.
You can YouTube.
So now I go to YouTube, and what am I typing in?
What are you looking for?
I don't know, because
Evolution, the theory of evolution explained.
No, scratch the theory of evolution.
Exactly.
No. We're talking about the.
So type
the
in, does
other
God
thing.
really exist? Since you're still working
No,
with the
that's not what I'm
magician.
saying. That's not
Wait,
what I'm saying.
No.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
What
What
I'm
are you saying?
saying is,
Black Zeus? What did you call it? Black Zeus? Space Daddy? Sky Daddy? What was it? You called it?
no, what I'm saying
What the hell did
is,
you call it?
what I'm saying is,
Google
okay.
that.
What I'm saying is, okay, I'm a religious person. I'm somebody who's on the fence between religion and science. I know that I can go to church if I want to learn about God, regardless of how we feel about the story. So now I go to the internet, right? What am I typing in if I want to learn about, if I want to learn about science? I'm just typing in the word science.
What part
What
about
aspect?
science?
What aspect of science are you trying to learn about science? Because you can learn about science online. You got to be very precise about what aspect of science.
But that's what I'm saying. If you want
Whatever
to learn,
part that you're questioning,
if you want to learn about the religion, if I'm saying, okay, I think that I want to believe in God, all I have to do is go to the church and somebody's talking to me about it.
Okay, all right.
All right, but hold on. Can I say one thing? Because can I say one thing?
Did you not go to school? Do you not work in a school? Do we not have a weekly 4 or 5 day a week thing called science, biology, chemistry? You know, do we not?
I'm an adult.
You can extend that. You can go to college. You can get further education.
There's Khan Academy. There's a lot of free resources to learn science.
So what I'm saying is, the everyday person does not know that. That's it.
Bullshit. The everyday person has shut their brain off and does not look it up. That's what it is.
They don't.
Because if they wanted to find out their favorite team scores because they missed the game, they would look that shit the fuck up.
Any society that has access to the internet has the capability to look shit up.
It's just easy, but it's easier.
It's easier to accept a fairy tale than to actually
it's easier to get information. It's easier to get the information. That's all I'm saying. So I go to church. I go to church.
How is it easier?
Okay, here it is. I go to church. What am I reading? A scripture.
How is it easier?
That the pastor has given to me to read, that we're all reading together, and then I sit here and then I listen. Now, if there's a scientific version of that, if I can go to this building here, or if I can log in, now I ain't going to the building. If I can log into this Zoom meeting or this WebEx meeting and log on to a science lecture once a week.
First of all,
then
you can go to NJIT or Rutgers.
So once a week.
Let me put this out for all the people who are listening. If y'all want to take a science class, y'all can go to NJIT. If you're in Newark, you go to Rutgers in Newark. Actually, you do this in any state that you live in. Yeah. You don't even have to pay for the college class. You can just go and sit in the damn class and learn whatever the hell you want to learn. So knock it off. I just gave everybody the goddamn blueprint to getting a free education. You won't get the paperwork, but you can learn some shit. Now what, Henry?
That's too much reading. I want somebody to talk to me.
So basically,
Smith,
you're being lazy.
Yeah, no, but I'm speaking for the average person. Let's keep it real. I'm speaking for the average person.
So you're admitting that the average person is lazy.
Yes,
and intellectually and mentally lazy.
And that's why it's easier for them to go. That's why it's easier for them to go sit in church and listen to somebody talk to them, and it can get that. Really, it is. Whether you admit it or not, it is.
That is actually, believe it or not, Henry, that is the answer to the question. Why people believe in intangible religions versus backed up science, because it is lazy. It's intellectually lazy. I don't have to try. They just tell me that, two white people made this. Okay, I'll accept that. Oh, the car drives itself? No, that's too much. That's too much for me to actually, put that through my brain. You know what I mean? So the whole thing is, thank you for admitting it's intellectually lazy.
You got that up real good.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's
laziness. That's what it is. We answered the question. It took us a while, but we got to the answer.
Thanks, Henry.
Appreciate you, Henry. That's what he's doing.